Sussex Bay for me is one of the best examples in the UK of a mature nature recovery programme. And I guess I'm really behind it because I can see that it's actually having impact rather than just talking the talk. There's a lot of work going on, which I'm delighted to see and really want to get behind. On a personal level as well, I guess I just bring my kids out into nature as and when I can, particularly down to the beach. We're obviously lucky to have this wonderful coastline that runs right past where we live. And I think, to be honest, the number one thing that anyone can do to engage with Sussex Bay is actually just to experience the nature that's here itself. Because when you feel more connected with the coastline and the sea and what's inside in the water, you can very easily then sort of become a supporter because you really identify with it. And unless you actually experience it, you're sort of on the sidelines.
Mm. And I really want to talk to you about generation restoration and GenR, which is a project that I know you're working on. Please tell us more about that. It's
something I've launched this year. Again, I'm using some of the time that I put aside for climate action. It's really born out of the idea that I've read some studies around people in the UK where it suggests that 80% of people are concerned or very concerned about climate change. And yet so few people are invited to really become part of the solution for that. And I think feeling quite overwhelmed, or potentially a bit anxious, or actually just, I can't think about this right now. I've got too much going on. And I guess I'm here to try and invite people into a new movement. I've called it GenR, which, as you pointed out, stands for Generation Restoration. And the idea about this is you can do more than recycling. You can actually engage in nature recovery. What I love about being in Sussex is that Sussex Bay is just one of a number of projects that you can use your time to give to and really call yourself part of GenR, this idea that within our lifetime, we might be able to restore balance with the natural world for future generations. And that's kind of what GenR stands for. And I suppose what I'm trying to appeal to with this movement is it's for the environmental moderate. So it's not for necessarily activist-minded people. It's certainly not for climate change deniers, but it's for that 80% of people in the middle that perhaps don't have much time, aren't quite sure what to do to be part of the solution, but can join this community of people that just want to do a little bit more. And those things can be really, really simple. And it could be literally as simple as engaging with nature, bringing your family or your kids to the beach for the day. It might be something you do anyway, but actually while you're there, observe, see what's going on, identify with the wildlife that's there, and just take it 1% more. I kind of like to think of maybe the program that GenR is rolling out as like a couch to 5K for environmentalism. And there's so much that people can get involved with.
You do so much for nature as a nature advocate. Is there anything else you want to mention? Take this opportunity to talk about.
I suppose I really see one of the keys to unlocking kind of behaviour change, which is the big kind of thing that isn't talked about as much in this whole climate debate, is having a really positive mindset. I've got really frustrated about how environmentalism is being dragged into the culture wars, and it's sort of got a bad reputation, and that's really quite hard to get your head around when you think about it. So making our world cleaner, brighter, more full of life can often be dragged into this position which is seen as quite a negative space for some people. They feel conscious about it. So my real goal is to pull that whole argument back into popular culture, so we can engage with this topic when we're at gigs, when we're watching sport, when we're looking at art and telling stories in that kind of really emotive area. And so the whole goal of what I'm trying to do is link nature to popular culture moments that put a smile on people's faces and create a really positive energy behind it. And in a way, the kind of what that does is secondary, but the reason we're doing it is to unlock funds and engage people in participating in nature recovery work on the land and in the sea. And those projects are beautifully forming, but it just needs a much bigger audience around it and people that are going to support it and have a bigger impact. And so for me, it's perhaps even less about some of the projects and more about just the galvanizing more and more people into this area has become a focus, certainly for this year for me and over the coming years. And I really hope that one of the projects that GenR can support will be Sussex Bay.
Great. And Sussex Bay is a brilliant thing for, as you described it, galvanizing efforts and facilitating coordination and collaboration. What's your hope for the future for Sussex Bay, for the area, for the project?
Yeah, well, what I love about Sussex Bay is we often think about climate breakdown as this huge global issue. It's the whole planet. We've got to save the planet. That's really hard for most people to access and to find a home within. So breaking that down into bite-sized chunks, 100-mile stretch of coastline located in Sussex that you can visit if you live here very, very easily. And it's probably a part of the country that you've got a connection with already, because if you've lived here all your life, or you've raised your kids here, or you work here, you can identify with it. You sort of know the landscape here. So for me, the hope is that by breaking down this huge global issue into looking after your local patch, doing a small action, that if you then combine that with lots of other local areas, taking Sussex Bay further afield, we could have a huge impact, because all of those small actions, imperfect as they may be, related to your own local area, all add up to something that could be quite substantial. And just a final point on that, what I absolutely love about Sussex Bay, that it's just leading, it's role modelling, it's showing a new way. And I think that's so important. I'm so proud that that's happening right on my doorstep. And anything that I can do and bring others into this to help is a real focus of my energy.
If there was one message you could get out to everyone in Sussex,
yeah,
what would it be?
My message to people that live in this area is really just start to connect a little more with the natural world. Sussex Bay is one way to do that, because there's a fully formed project there along a coastline that you can visit and learn about. But it might literally just be at the end of your road. It could be a park, it could be a forest, it could be the South Downs, it could be any of those spaces. And I think Sussex Bay is shining such a beacon on the potential to restore our natural world, that as a citizen, all you need to do is really just take a minute out of your day to just think about that for yourself. You could literally even be working from home, look out of the window and just spot a bird flying through the sky. It doesn't take, you don't have to become like a passionate environmentalist. I think it's just recognizing that as a human on this planet, we're just one tiny little part of this huge system, and that system is in trouble, and actually we can do something about it. So connect with it, be aware of it, and then act on it. And if one way to access that is through Sussex Bay, then just go for it. Don't even think about it.